Hello again, everyone, and welcome to this episode of Chatting with the Lightkeeper. And I apologize. I know I am a little delayed in getting this episode out, but it's summertime here. And, well, I've been really busy, and time just has gotten away from me, and I never had a chance to sit down and actually record this episode. So, apologize for the delay, but I'm back. We're good. And I'm going to stick to that every other week schedule because I don't really have any major vacation for the rest of the summer. And of course, that could change, but yeah, I was away for a bit. And when I was away, I took a break from everything kinktastic and from social podcast. So, anyways, I'm back, rejuvenated, and ready to go. So, this episode, we're going to talk about DS contracts. They are something that many feel are non negotiable, they're a must have. They need to have them in the dynamic. And other people, they won't touch them. I mean, while we have some that swear by them, and some totally swear off of them. And unlike some discussions about this, this is not a podcast to sway you one way or the other. It's just want to chat about the contracts, why some like them, why some don't, and you can make your own informed decision on what might work for you. So that is the goal of the podcast. So first of all, lifestyle contracts, they're not new. Some people, I've seen it shared, that they came around with the internet. And no, they existed long before the wonderful, fantastic internet came upon us, in lifestyle communities going back, way back. The internet did make it easier to share information about them, to share what people are putting in theirs, their templates, have discussions, to even debating their merits. So the internet definitely helped grow the reach and the reach, make them more sort of mainstream the lifestyle. Not exactly the words I wanted, but that's what we're going to go. And then we had this wonderful series of books turned into movies. And no, we're not going to debate the merits of the 50 Shades series, but one of the things that is featured in the books and film, are lifestyle contracts. And if you watch or read the books, you almost come away with the impression that they're mandatory, that if you want to have a DS relationship, you have to have them. And 50 Shades did do a lot to popularize them, but they're not a requirement. You can have a wonderful, fulfilling DS, kink, BDSM relationship or dynamic without having to have lifestyle. They typically serve as expressions of consent of roles is in a contract. Oftentimes they will address hard and soft limits, and they also have practical things, often in them, from ritual to even finances, abilities, protocols, communication, expectation, often get put into them. Everyone is unique and tailored to that particular dynamic. So there's not a gold standard, if you will. It's just like the lifestyle, very individualistic. People do use templates sometimes, but they customize them, make them work exactly they want. And sometimes writing down expectations, limits, desires, the process of creating the contract, really helps people communicate better, and things that sometimes might be vague or might get a process forces them to be communicated and spelled out clearly, which is one of the perks that people like use. Some of the other reasons that people that like them find them great is it makes it, in a way you're signing, you actually sort of have that, paper, if you will, or even electronic copy, thing that makes adds a sense of reality, lifestyle, relationship. Other people report that it helps with their anxiety. Expectations are all spelled out. It's very black and white, so it lowers their anxiety of, do this, do I have to do this? How does my partner want me to handle this? But that expectation spelled out with their anxiety about. Other people say that it helps disagree in their on the DS side because the contract is a shared reference. So rather than having to go off your memory, it's right there in the document you reference. So it can help reduce disagreements. And the other thing about a DS contract is they're living agreement. They're not something that are done once and done forever. They are updated and changed as they go. So it's not something that is static or a year, 2 years, or even longer in a relationship, things can be addressed and changed in the contract as they need. And another thing is there's a ceremonial value that people who like them enjoy. You know, the signing itself is a very emotional experience beyond just having text there to spell things out and what is expected and what's not. It's there's a ceremony, a level of commitment that goes with that a lot of people, but not everybody does contracts. And the people who are not necessarily fans of contracts, they will often report that they like the flexibility and the ongoing communication that not having a formal document brings. They feel it's easier to dynamic, flexible, and it actually helps them have more ongoing conversation about things without having things so rigidly documented. And they also people will also say that they're kind of wary of some of the written agreements because relationships dynamics, they change over time because we are people and always changing, so it can be burdens to try and keep updating this document as the relationship matures, and they feel it can stifle the natural evolution of a dynamic if that happened. And finally, other people say that they don't like something that is, a dynamic is so personal and so organic that it feels they just dislike having to formalize something that is so deeply personal and so organic to everyone that's involved in it. So those are some of the reasons people like them and some of the reasons people don't like them. Obviously, there's much more that can go in there, but those are some of the more common ones that you will hear. Now, there are some important things to understand about contracts, no matter how you feel about them. And sadly, this is something I've seen more than once. A DS contract or a BDSM contract, what have you, is not legally binding. It doesn't matter how they're written. It doesn't matter whether you have witnesses. It doesn't matter even if you pay an attorney craft the document. They're not legally binding. It's not like a prenuptial agreement. It's not something that is going to say cover your butt if something went astray in a relationship and say, see, they signed this. They gave their consent for this. It doesn't work like that. They are not legally binding, and if something does go amiss, it doesn't provide any legal cover for anybody who signed it or participated under the contract. It's also important to understand that even if somebody signs a contract and says, yes, I consent to this, we'll use spanking as an example. I consent to be spanked whenever my dominant to spank me. Even if it's in the contract and it says that they've consented to this anytime, consent can be withdrawn. Just because it's in a contract, consent is still ongoing. It is not something that is obtained once when the contract is signed and possessed forever or until the contract is reworked. But consent is something that must be offered and received continuously. It doesn't replace the ongoing consent conversation. And another thing contracts don't do is they don't replace the regular check ins and honest conversation that partners need to have. Now, some will put in their contracts that the partners need to sit down once a week or once a month or whatever interval works that it's a contractual obligation to have these conversations. And some people like that. I guess people like, but a contract doesn't replace having those contracts. So that's just sort of the long and the short of DS contracts. You don't have to have one, or you may want to have one. There's no right or wrong way. Some people find that they're essential in building their relationships, and other people find them very confining. So I'm curious, what are your thoughts? Are they something that you need to have, you want to have? Are you still learning about it? Drop a comment, let me know. Share it in the comments, drop me a DM. I'd love to hear your thoughts on it. And speaking of DMs, I need to just ask a favor to everyone who's listening. I am currently, for whatever reason, going through one of Instagram's shadow bans, where Instagram has apparently decided that my DS content is naughty. I don't have any where Instagram says, this post was bad and you get a strike, or you need to remove this, or any of that. Everything Instagram says that I've posted is hunky dory, abides by the rules, but they are not sharing anything. Even tried a beach picture and a lighthouse picture while I was off on vacation, and just simply not getting shown to really anyone, not even followers. So my ask is, if you're on Instagram and you follow me, or even if you don't, if you could take a moment, go through my content, find something that you like it, maybe save it or share it with a friend. Those little signals will help me get out of the Instagram shadow ban jail, supposedly, or so the online guides say about that. But I'd really like your help to avoid the sort of prison of shadow banning, the virtual Instagram world. And speaking of that, like, follow, and share, subscribe thing, wherever you're listening to this podcast, please do take a second, tap the like button, the follow button, or the subscribe button. Those are fantastic. And once again, it's a personal, sort of selfish request. But what those do for me is they tell the almighty algorithm that, hey, I'm not just screaming out into the void, that there are real people, real listeners who take value in the podcast. So that's what I have. So please do drop me a comment or drop a DM. Let me know what your thoughts are on contracts, why you like them, why you don't, or if you have a question, something I didn't cover here today. Please drop a question and let's have a discussion about it. So thank you for listening, and I look forward to chatting with you again in just a week and a half or so. So until then, have fun, and I will chat with you again very soon.